I found out my son got married the same way strangers did. My name is Gerald McNeil, and I'm apparently not real family. August 15th, 2024. That's when my world cracked wide open. I was scrolling through Instagram looking at pictures of my neighbor's new truck when Daniel's wedding photos popped up on my feed. My son, in a tuxedo I'd never seen, standing next to a woman I'd met exactly once. The caption hit me like a sledgehammer. Finally with real family. Finally. Like the 34 years I raised him alone meant nothing. I stared at that screen for 20 minutes, my oil-stained fingers shaking, trying to process how my own blood could erase me so completely. No invitation, no phone call, no explanation. Just a social media announcement that I was disposable. But here's what Victoria Whitmore and her precious family didn't know about this worthless mechanic. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you are watching from. This is the story of how my worthless life became worth $2.3 million overnight and changed everything. Let me back up 6 months, show you exactly how they treated me. Christmas dinner, 2023. Daniel called me December 23rd, his voice tight, nervous. Dad, about Christmas dinner? Victoria's hosting, I said. I remember. Should I bring anything? Silence. Then, actually, Dad, there's been a change of plans. What kind of change? Victoria thinks it might be better if it's just immediate family this year. Immediate family. I chewed on that. Son, I'm your immediate family. You know what I mean. No, Daniel, I don't. He sighed. She's concerned about impressions. Her parents are flying in from Boston. Important business associates will be there. And I don't fit. It's not like that. What's it like then? You wouldn't be comfortable. These people speak differently. Dress differently. I looked down at my Carhartt jacket. 15 years old, my name embroidered over the pocket in faded gold thread. I see. Maybe we can do something later. Just us. We never did. Strike 2 came at his law school graduation. Princeton, May 24th, 2024. I drove 4 hours in my beat-up Ford. 1998 F-150. 287,000 miles, dented tailgate. But it got me there. Found a parking spot 6 blocks away. Walked to the ceremony in my one good suit. Bought it at Men's Warehouse for his high school graduation. Still fit. The ceremony was beautiful. Watched my boy walk across that stage. Felt pride swell in my chest like a balloon. All those years of working 3 jobs. All those nights helping with homework at the kitchen table. All worth it for this moment. Afterward, I found him in the crowd. Families everywhere taking pictures, laughing, celebrating. Daniel, I called out. He turned, saw me. His face went pale. Dad, you came. Of course I came. This is huge. Victoria appeared beside him like smoke. Designer dress, pearls, smile sharp as a blade. Gerald, she said. My name sounded dirty in her mouth. Victoria, congratulations on the graduation. She nodded. Cool, distant. We're heading to the Nassau Club for dinner, Daniel said. Private celebration. Sounds nice. Daniel glanced at Victoria. It's really just for... I understand, I said. Saved him the words. Again. Victoria's smile widened. I'm sure you do. I hugged my son, felt him stiffen, whispered in his ear, I'm proud of you. He pulled back. Wouldn't meet my eyes. Thanks for coming, Dad. I drove 4 hours home, alone. That night, I saw the pictures on Instagram. Daniel at the Nassau Club. Surrounded by Victoria's family, laughing, happy, free. The caption read, celebrating with the people who matter most. 2 strikes. I should have seen the 3rd one coming. But you never expect your own child to completely erase you, to pretend you don't exist, to stand in front of God and family and promise his life to someone else without even telling you it was happening. The wedding photos showed everything I'd missed. The engagement party, the bachelor party, the rehearsal dinner, months of celebration, hundreds of people, none of them me. I printed out that Instagram post, taped it to my refrigerator, stared at it every morning with my coffee. Finally, with real family. That's when I realized something important. I'd been playing by their rules, accepting their dismissals, swallowing their insults, hoping if I stayed quiet enough, small enough, maybe they'd let me exist in the margins of my son's life. But I was done being small. The real gut punch came 3 days later. Daniel's thank you call. Dad, I wanted to talk to you about something. I was in my garage, under a Honda Civic. Mrs. Patterson's car, transmission leak, simple fix. Go ahead, son. The wedding was expensive. Really expensive. I slid out from under the car, wiped my hands on a rag. I imagine so. $87,000. I whistled low. That's a lot of money. Victoria's family covered most of it, but there were some unexpected expenses. Here it comes, I thought. I saw the bank transfer, he said. From your account, the $50,000. 6 months earlier, Daniel had called in a panic. Emergency apartment deposit. First and last month's rent. Security deposit. Some story about needing to move quickly. Good neighborhood. Close to his firm. I'd wired $50,000 without hesitation. My entire emergency fund. Money I'd saved for 20 years. Planned to use for retirement. Maybe a small cabin somewhere quiet. You said it was for an apartment, I said. It was, sort of. Victoria and I needed to upgrade. Better address, more space for entertaining. For the wedding, among other things. So my money paid for a wedding I wasn't invited to. Silence. Dad, you have to understand. I understand perfectly. The apartment is in both our names. Legally, you're not entitled to any return. I'm not asking for it back, Daniel. Good. Because Victoria thinks it might be better if we kept our finances separate from now on. Clean boundaries. Clean boundaries like I was some kind of contamination. Separate how? No more emergency loans, no more financial help. We're adults now, married adults. We need to stand on our own. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Something funny? Just thinking about all those emergency loans, your sophomore year, car trouble, $3,000, junior year, study abroad program, $8,000, senior year, bar exam prep course, $4,000. I paid you back. Some of it. Most of it. I did the math in my head. 18 years of emergencies, college tuition I'd covered when his scholarships fell short. Law school applications, interview trips, professional wardrobe, bar exam fees. You know what the total is, Daniel? All those loans? All that help? Dad, I don't think... $234,000. I kept receipts. Dead silence. I never asked for payback, never charged interest, never said no, not once. That's what parents do. Is it? What do children do? I don't understand. They remember. They honor their parents. They don't erase them. Nobody erased you. Your wedding says different. The wedding was complicated. The wedding was paid for with my money. Money you took under false pretenses. False pretenses. You said apartment, not wedding. Same thing. Not the same thing at all. I could hear him breathing, thinking, calculating. What do you want from me, Dad? Good question. What did I want? I wanted my son back. I wanted respect. I wanted acknowledgement that 34 years of sacrifice meant something. I wanted finally with real family to include the man who made everything possible. But I wasn't going to beg. I want you to be happy, son. I want your marriage to work. I want Victoria to treat you well. She does. Good. Because marriage is about partnership, mutual respect, supporting each other through hard times. We support each other. I hope so. Because if this marriage goes bad, if you need help, if you need someone who loves you unconditionally. What? Those clean boundaries work both ways. I hung up, stood in my garage for a long time, looking at the walls, tools hanging in neat rows, equipment I'd bought over 40 years, built a life with, built a business with, built nothing, according to them. But they were wrong about something important. They were wrong about everything. I called him back, 1 week later. September 1st, Labor Day, seemed appropriate. Daniel, it's Dad. Hi. His voice was cold, distant. We need to talk. I'm busy. This won't take long. Victoria and I are having dinner with her parents. Perfect. Put me on speaker. Dad, put me on speaker, Daniel. I heard fumbling. Voices in the background. Victoria saying something I couldn't catch. You're on speaker, Daniel said. Good evening, everyone. Victoria, Mr. and Mrs. Whitmore. Victoria's voice, sharp. Gerald, this really isn't a good time. I understand rich people have schedules. Excuse me? Nothing. Just wanted to share some news with the family. What news? Daniel asked. I've been thinking about your advice. Clean boundaries. Financial independence. Standing on your own. Good, Victoria said. That's very mature. So I've made some decisions. What kind of decisions? Daniel's voice had changed, nervous. Well, first thing, I'm updating my will. Dead silence. Your inheritance, Daniel. All of it. The house, the business, the equipment, everything. Dad, you don't need to. I'm leaving it all to the Veterans Fund. Clean boundaries, right? That's... Daniel struggled for words. That's your choice. It is. Second thing, your trust fund. More silence. What trust fund? Victoria asked. I smiled. They didn't know. The one my father set up. When Daniel was born. College fund. Wedding fund. Down payment on a house fund. How much? Victoria's voice was suddenly very interested. Started with $50,000. Been growing for 29 years. Tax-free. Conservative investments. How much is it worth now? Daniel asked. About $300,000. I heard someone inhale sharply. Victoria. But here's the thing. The trust has conditions. The beneficiary has to maintain family relationships, show respect for elders, honor the family name. What does that mean? Victoria demanded. Means if my son treats me like garbage, he doesn't get the money. You can't do that, Victoria said. Already did. Called the bank yesterday. Account frozen pending review. Review of what? Daniel asked. Your behavior, your choices, your priorities. This is ridiculous, Victoria snapped. Is it? You wanted clean boundaries. This is what clean boundaries look like. You're blackmailing us, she said. I'm protecting family assets from people who don't value family. I value family, Daniel said. Quiet. Show me. How? Respect, inclusion, basic human decency. I've always respected you. Have you? Instagram caption says different. Long pause. That was... Victoria helped write that. Did she? Or did you mean every word? Dad, finally with real family. Your words, Daniel, not hers. I was excited. I didn't mean... You meant exactly what you said. I'm not real family. I'm something you escaped from. That's not true. Then prove it. How? Sunday dinner. This week. Your apartment. Just us. No Victoria. No in-laws. Just father and son. Victoria's voice cut in. Absolutely not. Why not? I asked. Because you're manipulating him. Using money to control his choices. Like you did with the wedding? What? $87,000 wedding. Who paid for it? My family. And my $50,000. Don't forget my $50,000. That was for an apartment. That was for a wedding you didn't invite me to. Gerald, Victoria said, her voice dripping condescension, you have to understand. There are social expectations, standards to maintain. Standards? People were watching, important people, business connections, family reputation matters. Whose family? Mine? Daniel's new family. What about his old family? His old family doesn't have anything to offer. There it was. The truth, finally. Nothing to offer, I repeated. Nothing relevant, she corrected. I see, and what exactly do you offer, Victoria? Connections, opportunities, a future worth having. Interesting. What kind of future? Partnership in the firm, social standing, financial security, all things money can buy. Money opens doors. Does it? What doors has your money opened lately? I don't understand. You will. I hung up, sat in my kitchen for a long time, looking at that Instagram post on my refrigerator. Finally with real family. They had no idea what family meant, what loyalty meant, what sacrifice looked like, but they were about to learn. Because clean boundaries work both ways, and some doors money can't open. Some doors require something they didn't have, something they'd never had, something they'd thrown away without even realizing what it was worth. The next morning, I drove to Jimmy Castellano's house. Jimmy's been my best friend for 42 years. We went to high school together, worked construction together, both married the same year, both lost our wives too young. Jimmy was a surveyor before he retired. Worked for the county for 35 years, knows every property line in 3 counties, knows every deed, every easement, every right-of-way. He was in his backyard working on his vegetable garden, tomatoes still coming in strong despite the September chill. Morning, Jimmy. Jerry, you look like hell. Feel like it too. He straightened up, wiped his hands on his jeans. Daniel? Want to talk about it? I told him everything. The wedding, the Instagram post, the phone call, Victoria's words about having nothing to offer. Jimmy listened without interrupting, nodded in the right places, made the right sounds. At the end he shook his head. Rich people, he said, think money makes them smart. Maybe it does. No, money makes them stupid. makes them forget important things. Like what? Like who they're dealing with. Jimmy walked to his back porch, unlocked a metal filing cabinet, started rifling through folders. Remember when your grandfather died, 1994? Yeah. Remember the property? The 15 acres? Up by Crystal Lake? That's the one. Jimmy pulled out a thick folder, yellow with age, rubber band around it. You ever go up there? Not in years. Nothing but trees and rocks. Trees and rocks, Jimmy repeated. And what else? I thought about it. The old cabin, probably falling down by now. What else? I don't know, wildlife, maybe some fishing. What else, Jerry? I don't know what you're getting at. Jimmy opened the folder, pulled out a map, spread it on his porch table. Look at this. I looked. Property survey from 1952, my grandfather's signature at the bottom, legal description in old typewriter font. 15.7 acres, Jimmy said. Irregular shape, frontage on Crystal Lake, deep water access. So look at this. He pulled out another map. Newer, computer printed, dated 6 months ago. Development proposal submitted to the County Planning Commission. I studied the map, saw my grandfather's property outlined in red, saw larger parcels surrounding it, saw architectural drawings, building layouts. What am I looking at? Whitmore Resort and Casino, $50 million project. My blood went cold. Whitmore? Victoria's family business, Whitmore Development Corporation. I looked closer. The casino complex sprawled across several properties: hotel, gaming floor, conference center, golf course, marina. But right in the middle, like a missing tooth, was a small red parcel. My grandfather's land. They need your property, Jimmy said. Why? Water access, environmental regulations. You can't build a marina without deep water frontage. Your land is the only piece with the right depth and soil composition. I stared at the map. How do you know all this? I still have friends at the county. They asked me to do some consulting work. Survey verification, soil testing, environmental impact assessment. And I told them there might be a problem. What kind of problem? The kind where one small landowner can kill a $50 million project. Jimmy pulled out more papers, bank documents, property tax records, recent appraisals. Your 15 acres, Jerry. Want to know what they're worth? I didn't answer. $2.3 million appraised last month. The world tilted sideways. $2.3 million? Lakefront property, development potential, mineral rights, timber value. I sat down hard on Jimmy's porch step. I had no idea. Course not. Why would you? You're just a mechanic, right? Just blue-collar trash with nothing to offer. The irony hit me like a sledgehammer. Victoria's family needed my land. Desperately. Their entire project depended on it. And they had no idea I owned it. Does Daniel know? About the property? About the value? Any of it. Jimmy shook his head. Why would he? You never talked about it. Your grandfather left it to you. You paid the taxes. End of story. What happens if I don't sell? Project dies. $50 million down the drain. Investors sue. Company stock tanks. Whitmore Development goes bankrupt. I felt something strange happening in my chest. A warmth. A power I'd never felt before. They'll offer to buy it? They already tried. County records show 3 separate purchase attempts, different buyers, shell companies, lowball offers. How low? 100,000, 150, 200,000 max. For $2.3 million worth of land. They're hoping you don't know what you have. I stood up, looked at the maps again. Saw the future Victoria's family had planned. Their empire. Their legacy. Built on my family's land. Jimmy? Yeah? You said they asked you to do consulting work. Right. You said there might be a problem. That's right. What kind of problem did you tell them? Jimmy grinned. The kind where the current landowner might not be interested in selling. What did they say? They said that wouldn't be a problem. Everyone has a price. Everyone can be convinced. Everyone? Everyone. I folded up the maps, put them back in the folder. Can I borrow these? Keep them. I made copies. I walked back to my truck, climbed in, sat there for a minute. $2.3 million, nothing to offer. Clean boundaries. We'd see about that. September 15th. Daniel's law firm was hosting their annual partners' dinner. Big event. Clients invited. Networking opportunity. Daniel had mentioned it once, months ago, back when we still talked. I decided to attend. The firm occupied the top 3 floors of a downtown high-rise. Chandler, Whitmore, and Associates. Victoria's father was a senior partner. Old money, old connections, old prejudices. I parked 6 blocks away. Walked to the building in my good suit. Same one from Princeton graduation. Shined my work boots. Combed my hair. The lobby was full of expensive people. Tailored suits. Designer dresses. Jewelry worth more than my annual income. They moved like they owned the world. Maybe they did. I took the elevator to the 40th floor. Stepped into a room full of crystal and marble. Floor-to-ceiling windows showing the city lights. Waiters carrying champagne on silver trays. Found Daniel near the bar. He was laughing at something an older man was saying. Victoria beside him in a black dress that probably cost more than my truck. I walked over. "Hello, son." Daniel's face went white. The laughter died. "Dad, what are you doing here?" "Thought I'd see where you work. Meet your colleagues." Victoria appeared at his elbow. Her smile was sharp enough to cut glass. "Gerald, this is unexpected." "Is it?" "Daniel's family. I'm family." Seemed natural. "This is a private event," she said. "Client appreciation dinner," I corrected. "I saw the invitation online. You're not a client, aren't I?" "Daniel's done plenty of work for me over the years. Legal advice, contract reviews, that counts." The older man Daniel had been talking to looked confused. "I'm sorry, I don't think we've met." "Gerald McNeil," I said, extending my hand. "Daniel's father." The man's handshake was firm, professional. "Charles Whitmore, Victoria's father, senior partner. Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Whitmore." "Likewise, Daniel's spoken of you." "Has he? All good things, I hope." "Of course." Victoria stepped between us. "Daddy, Gerald was just leaving." "Was I?" I looked at Daniel. "We haven't had a chance to catch up." "This isn't the place, Dad." "Why not? Your workplace, your colleagues, your family." "Your family," Victoria corrected. "This is my father's firm, and Daniel works here. Daniel's earned his place here." "I'm sure he has. All that Princeton education." "Law review. Student loan debt I helped cover." Victoria's eyes narrowed. "I think there's been a misunderstanding." "About what?" "About your role here, your position." "My position?" "You're a guest, a brief guest. Daniel was being polite by acknowledging you." The words hit like a slap. Around us, conversations quieted. People started listening. "Acknowledging me?" "Gerald," Charles said quietly. "Perhaps we should—" "No," Victoria said. "He needs to understand. This is Daniel's world now. These are his people, his real colleagues, his real connections." "His real family?" "Exactly." Daniel looked like he wanted to disappear. "Victoria, maybe we should—" "Should what? Pretend? Hide the truth?" She turned to me. "You want the truth, Gerald? Here it is. Daniel has moved on. He's building a life that matters, with people who matter, in a world that matters. And I don't matter. You served your purpose. You raised him. You got him to college. That's what fathers like you do. You provide the basics and then step aside. Fathers like me, working-class fathers, blue-collar fathers, fathers who've done all they can do." The room was silent now. Everyone watching, waiting. "You think I've done all I can do? Haven't you?" I looked around the room. 40 faces staring at me, judging me, measuring me against their standards. "You know what's funny, Victoria?" "What?" "You think this matters. This room, these people, this firm. It does matter." "Does it? Your daddy's firm. Built on what? Connections, reputation, family money? Built on excellence, on results, on land deals, development projects, real estate law." Charles stepped forward. "I think that's enough." "Is it?" "I'm just getting started." I pulled out my phone, opened the photo Jimmy had sent me. The development proposal, Whitmore Resort and Casino. $50 million, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "That's a big project." Victoria's face changed. "What are you talking about?" "Your family's project up at Crystal Lake Resort and Casino. Very ambitious." "How do you know about that?" "Hard to keep secrets in a small town." Charles moved closer. His face had gone pale. "Gerald, I think you should—" "Should what? Leave? Like I left Daniel's wedding? Like I left his graduation dinner? Like I've left every important moment in his life because I don't fit?" "You don't fit," Victoria said. Simple, brutal. "Don't I?" I showed the phone screen to Daniel, to Victoria, to Charles. "Recognize this map?" Victoria grabbed the phone, stared at the screen. Her face went from pale to gray. Where did you get this? Same place I got the property records, the survey documents, the environmental impact reports. You have no right. I have every right. It's my land. The room exploded into whispers. Victoria looked like she'd been shot. Your what? 15.7 acres, Crystal Lake frontage. Deep water access. Mineral rights included? That's impossible. Is it? Check the deed. 1952, McNeil Family Trust. Charles grabbed Victoria's arm. We need to talk. Privately. No, I said. We've had enough private conversations, enough behind-closed-doors decisions. Time for some transparency. I looked at Daniel. He was staring at me like he had never seen me before. Surprise, son. Your worthless father owns something your new family desperately needs. Victoria found her voice. How much do you want? For what? The land. Name your price. I smiled. You assume it's for sale. Everything's for sale. Is it? What's your marriage worth, Victoria? What's your reputation worth? What's your family's business worth? You can't be serious. Dead serious. Clean boundaries, remember? Financial independence. Standing on your own. I headed toward the elevator. Turned back at the last second. Oh, and Daniel, that Sunday dinner invitation still stands. We have a lot to discuss. The elevator doors closed on 40 stunned faces, including my son's. 24 hours later, my phone rang. Gerald, this is Charles Whitmore. Mr. Whitmore, how can I help you? I think we need to meet, discuss the situation. What situation? The property, Crystal Lake, our development project. Your development project. Yes, our development project, which seems to require your cooperation. Are you available today? My office? Your office feels a little formal. How about neutral ground? Where did you have in mind? Murphy's Diner, Route 9, 1 o'clock. I'm not sure that's appropriate for people like you. Long pause. 1 o'clock. I arrived early, claimed a corner booth, ordered coffee, and waited. Charles walked in at exactly 1 o'clock, still in his expensive suit, still moving like he owned the world. But something had changed. His confidence was cracked. He slid into the booth across from me, looked around the diner like he'd landed on Mars. Coffee? I asked. No, thank you. How about we skip the pleasantries? Fine. You need my land. We need to discuss options. You need my land, I repeated. Yes. How badly? Badly enough to make you a generous offer. How generous? $500,000. I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. Something funny? You offering me $500,000 for land worth $2.3 million? Where did you get that number? Professional appraisal. Bank commissioned. Last month. Charles went very still. What bank? First National. Same bank that's financing your project. How do you know about our financing? Small town. People talk. What people? People who do survey work, environmental assessments, soil testing. Understanding dawned in his eyes. Jimmy Castellano. Jimmy Castellano. He works for us. He works for whoever pays him. This month, I'm paying him. Charles pulled out his phone, started typing. Calling your lawyers? I asked. Calling my partners. Call whoever you want. Won't change the facts. What facts? Fact 1. You need my land. Fact 2. I own my land. Fact 3. I'm not selling. Everyone sells. Not everyone. What do you want? I want a lot of things. Money? We can negotiate. Respect, inclusion, basic human dignity. I don't understand. Your daughter thinks I'm worthless, disposable, blue-collar trash with nothing to offer. Victoria can be direct. Victoria can be wrong. Charles set down his phone. What do you want from us? An apology would be nice. Done. From Victoria, in person, public. I can arrange that. And Daniel. Your daughter poisoned my son against me, convinced him I was an embarrassment, something to escape from. Daniel made his own choices. Did he, or did you make them for him? What do you mean? Partnership track. Fast promotion. Marriage into the family, all conditional on cutting ties with his past. Charles said nothing. I want my son back. That's between you and Daniel. Is it? How much of his success depends on staying married to Victoria? How much of his future depends on keeping your family happy? Daniel earned his position. Did he? Or did he marry into it? Both. At least he was honest. Here's what's going to happen, I said. I'm listening. You're going to call a family meeting. Tonight. Your house. Victoria, Daniel, you, me. I don't think you're going to explain to your daughter that her behavior toward me stops today. Gerald, you're going to explain that disrespecting Daniel's father means disrespecting Daniel, and disrespecting Daniel means losing Daniel. You can't dictate. I'm not dictating, I'm negotiating. What if we refuse? Then your $50 million project dies. Your investors sue. Your company goes bankrupt. Your family name becomes worthless.
Charles stared at me for a long moment. You'd really destroy everything? Over hurt feelings? Not hurt feelings. Principles. What principles? Family loyalty, respect for elders, basic human decency. And if we agree, if we accommodate your demands, then we negotiate the land sale like civilized people, at fair market value, at a price that reflects the land's true worth to your project, which is more than $500,000. How much more? Substantially more. Charles pulled out a pen, started doing calculations on a napkin. The project budget allows for land acquisition costs up to... Charles, he looked up. I don't care about your budget. I care about my family. What family? You just said Daniel chose us over you. Daniel's confused. He thinks success means forgetting where he came from. You and Victoria encouraged that thinking. We encouraged him to reach his potential.
His potential includes honoring his father, even if his father can't contribute to his success. Especially then. Charles folded the napkin, put away his pen. You're asking us to change how we do business. I'm asking you to change how you treat people. People like you. People, period. And if we don't, I stood up, left $5 on the table for the coffee. Then you find another lake. Charles grabbed my arm. Wait. I looked down at his hand on my sleeve, looked back at his face. The meeting, he said. Tonight, 8 o'clock. Your house. My house. Victoria will be there. Victoria will be there. And Daniel? I'll make sure Daniel's there. Good. I walked toward the door, stopped, turned back. Charles? Yes? Bring your checkbook. 8 o'clock. Whitmore Mansion. Beacon Hill address. Old money neighborhood. Houses that had been in families for generations. I parked my beat-up Ford right in front, between a Mercedes and a BMW. Let the neighbors stare. Helen Bradford sat beside me in the passenger seat. She'd agreed to come as my attorney. Pro bono work. She specialized in property rights and family law. 40 years experience. Sharp as a razor. You ready for this? She asked. Been ready my whole life. The front door opened before we could knock. Charles Whitmore, still in his business suit, looking like he'd aged 10 years since lunch. Gerald, Miss Bradford. Charles, thanks for arranging this. He led us into a living room that belonged in a museum. Persian rugs, antique furniture, oil paintings worth more than my house. Victoria sat on a leather sofa, designer dress, perfect makeup, but her hands were shaking. Daniel stood by the fireplace, nervous, avoiding eye contact. Please sit, Charles said. Helen and I took chairs across from Victoria. Charles sat beside his daughter. Daniel, I said, you going to stand there all night? I'm fine here. Sit with your family. I am with my family. Which family? Daniel looked at Victoria, at Charles, at me. All of you, he said finally. Can't be all of us, son. Lines have been drawn. Victoria spoke up. This is ridiculous. We're here to discuss a business transaction. Are we? I looked at Helen. She opened her briefcase. Property deed, Helen said, spreading papers on the coffee table. 15.7 acres. Crystal Lake frontage, held in trust by the McNeil family since 1952. Charles leaned forward, studied the documents. Current fair market value, Helen continued, $2.3 million, appraised by First National Bank, same bank financing your development project. We're prepared to offer, Victoria started. Environmental impact study, Helen interrupted, placing another document on the table. Required by state law before any development. Cost, $45,000. Timeline, 6 to 12 months. Victoria's face went pale. 6 to 12 months? Minimum, assuming no complications. What complications? Charles asked. Wetland protection, wildlife habitats, water table analysis, soil contamination testing. The soil is fine, Victoria said. Is it? Helen smiled. Previous land use includes automotive repair, oil changes, parts washing, potential groundwater contamination. I watched Victoria's face crumble. That's not... We did preliminary testing. Surface testing, Helen corrected. Federal regulations require core samples, 12 feet down, every quarter acre. How long does that take? Daniel asked. First words he'd spoken directly to me. 8 to 10 months, if everything's clean. And if it's not clean? Charles asked. Environmental remediation could take years, could cost millions. The room went dead silent. Of course, I said, there's another option. What option? Victoria demanded. I could decline to sell. Keep the land in the family.
Preserve it for future generations. You can't do that. Can I? It's my land. But your project assumed you could buy my land cheap. Bad assumption. Victoria stood up, started pacing. This is extortion. No, Helen said calmly. Extortion is threatening harm unless money is paid. Gerald owns valuable property. He has every right to keep it or sell it on his terms. What terms? Charles asked. Helen pulled out another document. Purchase agreement, subject to certain conditions. What conditions? First condition, I said. Public apology. Victoria apologizes to me, in person, in front of witnesses, for treating me like garbage. Absolutely not, Victoria snapped. Second condition, Daniel's relationship with me is restored. Full relationship. Father and son, no interference from in-laws. You can't force. Third condition, fair market value for the land. $2.3 million.
That's ridiculous, Victoria said. Is it? What's ridiculous is offering $500,000 for $2.3 million worth of property. Charles was doing math in his head. The project budget. Fourth condition, I continued. Daniel keeps his job, his partnership track, his future at the firm, regardless of his relationship with his wife's family. Daniel looked up sharply. What does that mean? Means your job security doesn't depend on keeping Victoria happy. Of course it doesn't, Charles said. Put it in writing. What? Employment contract, 5-year guarantee, partnership consideration based on merit, not marriage. Victoria spun around. Daddy, you can't. Fifth condition, I said. Respect, basic human dignity. I'm treated like family because I am family. This is insane, Victoria said. Sanity is subjective, Helen observed. Legal ownership is not. Charles stood up, walked to the window, stared out at the city lights.
The board won't approve $2.3 million for land acquisition. Then reduce the project scope, I suggested. Build something smaller. Something smaller won't generate enough revenue to service the construction debt. Not my problem. Gerald, Charles turned around. Be reasonable. I am being reasonable. I'm offering to sell valuable property at fair market value with reasonable conditions. The conditions are about treating people with respect. Revolutionary concept. Victoria sat back down, hard. What if we agree to some of the conditions? Which conditions? The employment contract, job security for Daniel, and civil treatment going forward. Not civil treatment. Respectful treatment. Fine. Respectful treatment. What about the apology? Victoria's jaw clenched. Private apology. Public apology.
I'm not apologizing in public for
what? For calling me worthless? For saying I have nothing to offer? For excluding me from my son's wedding? Daniel finally spoke. Victoria, just apologize. Daniel, apologize to my father. He deserves that much. Victoria looked at her father, at her husband, at me. I'm sorry, she said, barely audible. For what? For treating you poorly, for treating me like I was worthless, for treating you like you were worthless, and for interfering with your relationship with Daniel. Thank you. Helen was taking notes. That covers conditions 1, 2, and 4. What about condition 3? The money? Charles asked. $2.3 million. We can do $1.8 million. Fair market value is $2.3 million. $1.9 million. $2.3 million. $2 million final offer. I looked at Helen. She shrugged. $2.2 million, I said. Deal.
Helen started preparing contracts. Charles called his lawyers. Victoria sat in stunned silence. Daniel walked over to where I was sitting. Dad? Yes, son? I'm sorry, too. I know. I made mistakes. We all did. Can we try again? I stood up, hugged my son, felt him relax in my arms for the first time in months. We can try again. 3 weeks later, the story hit the news. Local casino project delayed by property dispute. Whitmore Development pays premium for lakefront land. David versus Goliath, Mechanic holds up $50 million project. The financial press had a field day. Whitmore Corporation stock dropped 12% in 2 days. Investors started asking hard questions about due diligence and project management. Charles called me on a Thursday morning. Gerald, we need to talk. About what? About damage control. What damage? Media coverage, investor confidence, stock price. Not my problem. The press is making this look like corporate incompetence. Is it? We followed standard acquisition procedures. You tried to lowball me. We made reasonable offers based on comparable sales. You made insulting offers based on bad assumptions. The board is asking questions. What kind of questions? About project oversight, risk assessment, family involvement in business decisions. Victoria had been asked to step back from active project management. Conflicts of interest, the board called it. Emotional decision-making. She wasn't taking it well. Daniel, on the other hand, was thriving. The employment contract gave him security he'd never had. No more walking on eggshells. No more worrying that family drama would cost him his career. We'd started having Sunday dinners, just the two of us, talking about work, life, the future, rebuilding what we'd almost lost. You know what's funny? Daniel said over coffee one Sunday. What? Victoria's friends don't know how to treat me anymore. How so? Before I was the charity case. Poor kid who married up. Project husband. And now? Now I'm the guy whose father outsmarted their entire family. How does that feel? Confusing? Good. Different. Different how? They respect me now, not because of who I married, because of who I am. You're the same person you always were. Am I? I spent so long trying to become someone else, someone worthy of their world. And now? Now I'm wondering if their world is worthy of me. The property sale closed on October 15th, $2.2 million. Largest real estate transaction in county history. I kept $50,000 for myself. Put the rest in trust funds. One for Daniel, one for any future grandchildren, one for the Veterans Fund. The money changed things. Not in ways I expected. People treated me differently. Store clerks were more polite. The bank manager knew my name. Neighbors who'd ignored me for years suddenly wanted to chat. But the real change wasn't in how others saw me. It was in how I saw myself. For 34 years, I'd measured my worth by other people's standards, Victoria's standards, the Whitmore family standards, society's standards. Rich meant worthy, poor meant worthless, education meant smart, manual labor meant stupid. I'd bought into their system, accepted their hierarchy, believed I belonged at the bottom because that's where they put me. The land deal taught me something important. Worth isn't determined by others. It's determined by you. Victoria learned something too. The news coverage was brutal. Business journals called it the Whitmore miscalculation. Social media mocked the family for being outsmarted by a simple mechanic. Her friends started treating her differently, asking pointed questions about family business practices, wondering what other miscalculations might be coming. The casino project moved forward eventually, 6 months behind schedule, 20% over budget. Charles retired early. Victoria took a leave of absence. Daniel got his partnership. Earned it through merit, not marriage. Started specializing in property rights law. Turns out he had a talent for protecting small landowners from corporate pressure. Ironic. Dad, he said one Sunday over dinner, I want to ask you something. Go ahead. Why didn't you tell me? About the land, the value. Would it have mattered? Maybe. Maybe isn't good enough. What do you mean? I wanted you to choose me because I'm your father, not because I'm rich. I did choose you, eventually. I'm sorry it took so long. I'm sorry I let it take so long. We sat in comfortable silence, father and son, family. Dad. Yeah? That Sunday dinner invitation, the one you kept making? What about it? It's still open, right? Every Sunday, for the rest of my life. Good. Because I've got 34 years of catching up to do. Christmas dinner 2024. Victoria set the table for 12. China pattern her grandmother brought from England. Silver candlesticks older than the Republic. Crystal glasses that caught the light like diamonds. I arrived exactly on time. Brought wine. Nothing fancy. Decent bottle from the local store. $28. Victoria met me at the door, smile painted on. Perfect hostess performance. Gerald, thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me. How are you? I'm well. You? Fine, just fine. We'd found our rhythm over the past few months. Polite, respectful, Not warm, but not hostile. Professional courtesy between former enemies. Charles appeared behind her. "Gerald, good to see you." "Charles, drink. Beer if you have it." "Of course." The other guests were exactly what I expected. Business associates, family friends, people who mattered in their world. I didn't belong. Never would. But I wasn't trying to belong anymore. I was family. That was enough. Daniel found me by the fireplace. He looked good, relaxed, confident in a way he'd never been when he was trying to be someone else. "How's work?" I asked. "Busy, good busy." "Partnership track?" "On schedule, maybe ahead of schedule." "Because of your talent, not your marriage." "Because of my talent." We watched the other guests. Lawyers, bankers, politicians, people who ran things, people who mattered. "Dad?" "Yeah?" "Do you ever miss it?" "Miss what? Being invisible, flying under the radar?" "You mean being poor?" "I mean being underestimated." I thought about it. Sometimes. There's freedom in being dismissed. No expectations. No pressure to perform. But respect feels better. Dinner was elegant. Multiple courses, wine pairings, conversation about politics and business and social events. I participated when spoken to, answered questions honestly. Didn't try to impress anyone. Halfway through the main course, Charles stood up. "I'd like to propose a toast." Everyone raised their glasses. "To family, old and new, blood and chosen. To the people who shape us, challenge us, change us." He looked directly at me. "To Gerald, who taught us that worth isn't measured by wealth, that wisdom doesn't require education, that strength doesn't need status." "To Gerald," the table echoed. I raised my beer bottle. "To family." After dinner, Victoria and I found ourselves alone in the kitchen. She was wrapping leftovers. I was loading the dishwasher. "Gerald?" "Yes?" "Can I ask you something?" "Go ahead." "Why didn't you destroy us?" "What do you mean?" "You could have. Killed the project. Bankrupted the company. Ruined our reputation completely." "Why would I do that?" "Revenge, payback, justice." I thought about it. Justice isn't about destruction. What's it about? Balance, respect, setting things right. And you think things are right now? Getting there. She handed me a container of turkey. "For tomorrow." "Thank you." "Gerald?" "Yeah?" "I was wrong about you having nothing to offer." "Was I wrong about anything?" She smiled. First genuine smile I'd ever seen from her. "You were wrong about one thing." "What's that?" "You said money doesn't buy class." "It doesn't." "No. But apparently land ownership buys respect." We both laughed. Daniel appeared in the doorway. "Everything okay in here?" "Fine," Victoria said. "Your father and I were just discussing real estate values. Dangerous topic in this family." "The most dangerous topics usually are," I said. We finished cleaning in comfortable silence. 3 adults who'd learned to coexist. Not friends, probably never would be, but family. Complicated, messy, imperfect family. I drove home through quiet streets, Christmas lights in windows, families gathering, stories being written, pulled into my driveway. Sat in the truck for a minute. Looked at my house. Small, simple, paid for. Enough. My phone buzzed. Text message from Daniel. "Thanks for coming tonight. Sunday dinner next week?" I texted back. Wouldn't miss it. Family doesn't require blood, doesn't require money, doesn't require perfection. Family requires presence, respect, the courage to set boundaries, and the wisdom to honor them. I'd learned that lesson the hard way. But I'd learned it. If you're watching this, tell me about a time you had to stand up for your worth. When did you realize that respect isn't given? It's claimed. Thanks for listening to my story.